When the game on the line, you can't fold and you can't bend. Y'all be playing it safe and I be going for the win. Remember back when they was doubting on the kid. Now they tuned in cause my game too legit.
There's a lot of you don't know about the fantasy headlines. Nation. Headliner Nation. Fantasy headlines for the nation. I'm a headliner. I'm a headliner.
Yo. Analytics off the chain. All the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. Y'all stuck on third down. Your content's plain Jane. Headliners on top now. We gonna move and change. Podcast off the rip. Draft guide, so legit. Fantasy world, our game tight. You know we about that chub life. Stuck in a rut and you need some motivation. Head to the channel for this Headliner Nation.
I'm a headliner.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Monday morning live stream. Hopefully, everybody had a good weekend. I'd be willing to bet some of you ran into a buzzsaw of potentially Raheem Mostert, Devon A-Chain, Keenan Allen, different things like that. I want to start today's show off with a couple of different things. Okay? Not taking any questions right this second. I want to go through something with all of you real fast. And I want to do this because it's going to make you a better fantasy player overall. Some of you in the chat are probably going to be like, oh, he's scolding us, or oh, he's upset, or oh, he's complaining. That's not what I'm doing. It's not what I'm doing. And if you think that, you're more than welcome to turn the stream off. You're more than welcome to leave, stop the video if you're watching afterwards, whatever it might be. But I want to give you some information, and I want to give you some feedback that is going to help you become a better fantasy player. And if you're interested in that, I would listen if I were you. Our community needs to do better. For years now, we have told you all, don't overreact to the first few weeks of the season. We will help you try to figure out what is real, what is not real. What are we looking for? What are we going to move on? What are we going to move on from? Our goal here at the Fantasy Headliners is to help educate you all about the game of football and about becoming better fantasy players. It is not to get all of your questions 100% right. That would be unfair to me. That would be unfair to Jake. That would be unfair to you guys for us to even set that expectation. Our job here is to present you with information to help make you better and more knowledgeable about the game. That's our goal here. That is our goal here. So the amount of complaining that I have seen over the first few weeks especially in the middle of games, is absolutely insane. People will come to the comment section and leave a comment, how about we got a call wrong? And we're 10 minutes into the game. All of a sudden, that player does something in the second half, and they come back and they delete their comment. In Discord yesterday, there was so much complaining about different individuals. So much complaining. We have to do better. I need you all to stay the course. Okay? Stay the course. We developed a plan this offseason to put together a team that we feel like we can win, right? So let's talk about why we may not be winning right now. And part of that is because the way the 2023 season has started. I looked up some information prior to this season. And this speech that I'm giving you right now is not because people were complaining or saying that I got things wrong. In fact, I don't think a whole lot of people gave me any crap specifically yesterday overall. There was a couple of things that were like, why are we complaining right now? But we'll touch on that in a second. Nobody was like pointing fingers at us yesterday, though. So that's not what this is about. This is about helping to educate you all. That's what this is about. Okay? People were complaining about individual players. They weren't really complaining about our advice, except for like 2 people. But again, somebody did something or another. Okay? Let's take a look at 2023. I didn't do a deep dive into this, and maybe I will dig super deep and do like a members only video a little bit later in the week, but I just looked at some top statistics right now. In 2023, the top 12 quarterbacks have scored on average 61.9 fantasy points to start the year. Okay, that's the average total points through the first 3 weeks for the top 12 quarterbacks. The top 12 running backs have scored on average 46.27 fantasy points to start the season. The top 12 wide receivers have scored on average 42 fantasy points. And the top tight ends have scored on average, top 12 tight ends have scored on average of 18.4 fantasy points per game. Okay? Those are the average of the top 12 at each position to start the season. Now, for those people out there that are continuing to be like, this is why we draft wide receivers early. Wide receivers are scoring over 4 points, or excuse me, over 2 points. No, it is 4. Over 4 points less than the top 12 wide receivers. Or excuse me, the top 12 wide receivers are scoring 4 points less than the top 12 running backs. Okay? Let's take a look at 2022 numbers. The top 12 running backs in 2022, on average, through the first 3 weeks of the season, have scored 44 fantasy points. So scoring at the running back position, even though we've had all of these injuries, scoring at the running back position is up 2.27 fantasy points from last year. I have a bug. Last year in 2022, the top 12 wide receivers on average scored 43 fantasy points. That is 1 point more. So we are down a point from this season to last season, or from last season to this season. Here's where things get wild. In 2022, the top 12 tight ends through the first 3 weeks of the season averaged 23.17 fantasy points compared to 18.4 fantasy points in 2023. Scoring at the tight end position through the first 3 weeks, whoosh, down. Here's the big one. At the quarterback position, in 2022, the top 12 quarterbacks to begin the season scored on average of 70.01 fantasy points. In 2023, they are scoring 61.9. They are down almost 9 fantasy points over the first 12 weeks of the season, or first 3 weeks of the season. Scoring is down. Now, you might be asking yourself, and here is my assumption, and again, I haven't dived as deep as I probably could have. Scoring at the wide receiver position is only down 1 point for the top 12. However, it's down almost 9 points for the top 12 quarterbacks. I would be willing to bet you that the scoring for the wide receiver 2s and the wide receiver 3s are way down from last year. Considering the wide receiver 1s are not that much down, but quarterbacks are way down, wide receiver 2s and wide receiver 3s are probably both way down. This fantasy season is off to a slow start. And once again, a lot of that has to do with teams just do not care about the preseason anymore. Starting quarterbacks are maybe getting a couple of snaps here and there. They're not really playing a whole lot to begin the season. You don't have entire offensive lines playing together. You don't have the top, running backs and wide receivers on the field with the top quarterback together. The ability that teams have shown to just say, F the preseason, which is fine because we didn't have any major preseason injuries this year, is good. Like, I'm okay with that. But it's going to lead to slower starts at the beginning of the regular season because these guys need time. Trust me, when you're going from just facing your own team in kind of a thud format where you're not hitting the quarterback, where the quarterback's not being pressured in the same way, when you're not really going, even though you're going 100%, it's a lot different than going against your own team. It's way different. It's way different than trying to step in week 1, going up against another team that absolutely wants to decimate you. Anna, let's go ahead and get Luis out. Because I've said multiple times that's not what this conversation is about. It's about educating you all. And I've already mentioned one mistake I made this week. So, thank you, Anna. And I'll talk about my mistakes here in just a second. I've already mentioned one. We'll talk about more, for sure. Okay, so scoring across the league is down. For sure. That's one of the biggest issues right now, is that teams are just not performing the same way. Okay. A-Chain was definitely a miss for me this week, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Absolutely missed on him. Absolutely. But I also know that I wasn't the only one, because I legit, of all the questions that I answered on Saturday night and Sunday morning, nobody asked me if they should start Devon Achane. Nobody. So yeah, I wasn't the only one that wasn't thinking that he wasn't going to go. Give me a second. Let's go ahead and get Robert out of here as well. Let's take a look at one more thing real fast. Let's talk about top fantasy scores right now and whether or not we truly believe that was going to happen. Okay. The only people being kicked out are the ones being rude. And they're not being kicked out. They're just being timed out. So they can't chat right now. That's it. That's it. Not kicking people out. We're timing them out. Okay? I'm trying to help you guys out. We're trying to go over some things. If we're going to have people acting like that, we're just going to time them out. And then they can come back when they've cooled down. That's it. We're just not going to deal with it. Negativity is out the door right now. And because this is our channel, we're allowed to do that. Let me ask you this. Raise your hand if you thought that Raheem Mostert would not only be the number 1 running back in all the NFL after week 3, but the number 1 overall player in 2023. Yeah. Nobody saw that coming, did we? Listen, I had Raheem Mostert as a sleeper in several videos and our draft guide, and I still had no idea this was coming. Okay? The number 1 quarterback right now is Kirk Cousins. I mean, I think people have talked about Kirk Cousins being a top 12 option, but I don't think anybody out there had Kirk Cousins as the number 1 quarterback. Here's one for you too, okay? Let me toss this out to you real fast as well, okay? So, we just talked about how scoring is way down for the quarterback position. And even though it's way down for the quarterback position, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks in the top 12 players right now, even though scoring is way down for quarterbacks. Yeah. Also, the number 19 fantasy player in all of fantasy football right now isn't even a player. It's a group of players. It's the Dallas Cowboys defense. Number 19 overall right now in fantasy football. Anyone else see that coming? We knew their defense was going to be good. Did anyone else see them being a top 24 option at the fantasies at the in fantasy football right now? No. Pipe down. Dallas was number 2 overall after week 2. Okay. So let's take a look at the top performers at each position right now. At quarterback, Kirk Cousins is number 1. Justin Herbert, Tua. Jordan Love is number 4. Jordan Love. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. Russell Wilson, even though they've sucked. Jared Goff, Deshaun Watson. Mac Jones. Mac Jones is a top 12 quarterback right now. Brock Purdy is number 12. At the running back position, let's talk about running backs. Not only is Raheem Mostert the number 1 overall player in fantasy football and the number 1 running back, he is beating Christian McCaffrey by over 10 fantasy points. He has 78.9 total half PPR points compared to 65.8 from Christian McCaffrey. Again, I had Raheem Mostert as a sleeper this season in the draft guide. Actively told you guys to use the last round pick on him. Even I didn't see it. Even I didn't see it. I had no vision that Raheem Mostert would even be a top 12 option, let alone the number 1 overall player. Holy cow. Christian McCaffrey is number 2. Kenneth Walker is number 3. Kenneth Walker is number 3. I will tell you all right now, Kenneth Walker was one of my must-have players this season, coming into this season. Tony Pollard at number 4. Devon Achane is the number 5 overall running back, and he has played in 2 games. In those 2 games, one of those games, he scored less than 1.5 fantasy points. Dude had 49 fantasy points yesterday. Brian Robinson is number 6. We liked Brian Robinson. Didn't see him going this high. Somebody the other day asked us about it, and they're like, why weren't you higher on Brian Robinson? The offseason reports were that Antonio Gibson was going to be utilized a lot more than what he has been. Brian Robinson, to me, was like a low to mid RB2 on his best days. He's an RB1 right now. James Conner I missed on in the preseason. I'll be honest with that. He's at RB7 right now. I really didn't think this Cardinals team was going to play as well as it's been playing. I missed on that. Bijan Robinson dropped to number 8 after a bad game this past week. Kyren Williams is at number 9 right now, and the dude hasn't even played in week 3 yet. He plays tonight. Now, I will say this. I wasn't a big Kyren Williams guy before the season. I wasn't a big Kyren Williams guy before this season. I was before last season, and I should have followed my heart. Because last year, I had him as a sleeper. I put him in several videos. I told people pick him up because he'll be the guy over Cam Akers by the end of the season. It didn't happen, and they showed a renewed faith in Cam Akers over the last several weeks. So I was like, all right, they're definitely going with Cam Akers. And then Kyren Williams out of nowhere, and then they trade Cam Akers, and now he's the guy. I'm so disappointed. I am so disappointed I didn't follow my heart with Kyren Williams. A lot of people have said, I remember you bringing him up last year, so I kept an eye on him. That is good at least, but I wish I would have been more vocal about him this year. Jerome Ford is at number 10. Jerome Ford. No one saw that. Zach Moss is at number 11. He's only played in 2 weeks. Travis Etienne is at number 12. He scored 15 fantasy points this past week. James Cook is at number 13. Ramondre Stevenson, he's at number 14. Okay? Let's talk about the wide receivers real quick. Tyreek Hill at number 1. Keenan Allen at number 2. Now, I will say I wasn't as high on Keenan Allen this year as I have been in the past. The dude's jersey hung on my wall for 2 years. I love Keenan Allen. I was a huge supporter of him, and when people were like, hey, Keenan Allen's injury prone, I was like, no, he's not. And then people were off the bandwagon again this year because of his injury last year. And it was the same thing. Keenan Allen is injury prone, and I was like, no, he's not injury prone. All right, now we can go ahead and get Luis out of here. Anna, you can go ahead and take care of him. We gave a chance. We timed him out so he could calm down because he was throwing shade. He didn't want to do it. So, all right, Luis, it's fine. Go hang out with those dipshits over there. All right, Keenan Allen at number 2. We talked about Keenan Allen as being a guy where it was like, hey, wide receiver 2, safe amount of... And this is crazy because I'm literally talking about guys I missed on right now. And he's complaining that I'm not. Okay. Keenan Allen was the guy that we talked about being more as like a safe wide receiver too. Okay. He's been much more than that. He's not a safe wide receiver, too. Carl, I'm not answering questions right now. I told you all that we were going through some information on why we were overreactions, what we're looking at. Do I answer questions? Yeah, I answered thousands of questions this past weekend. This show's about something different right now. Okay? Going over reactions, going over different things. Justin Jefferson at number 3. Obviously no surprise there. Devontae Adams at number 4. Huge week this past week. Okay, bad performance week 1, better performance week 2, huge performance last night, obviously. So he's way up there. So far, yeah, I would say that we missed on Devontae Adams so far. We had him as a wide receiver 1, but didn't think he'd be this high. Deebo Samuel, after a couple of big weeks, definitely would be a miss there for us. Was not a big fan of Deebo Samuel coming into this season. Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen at wide receiver 7 after putting up 26 points. He was a sleeper for us. Adam Thielen was a sleeper for us. Tank Dell at number 8. I missed on Tank Dell. I'll be 100% honest with you. Nico Collins was our guy, and he showed up the first 2 weeks. This past week, though, it was Tank Dell season. Okay, so far I have missed on Tank Dell. Absolutely. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans. Mike Evans is wide receiver 10. Hasn't even played his week 3 game yet. Michael Pittman. Never lost faith in Michael Pittman. Definitely one that we got right there. He's at wide receiver 11. Chris Olave at number 12. Okay. Chris Olave. Okay, so Mike Williams, he's headed obviously to IR. No one saw Puka coming. Amari Cooper still playing well. CeeDee Lamb, unfortunately, 2 poor performances. George Pickens. Decent night last night, not a great night. Big week in week 2. He's at wide receiver 22. Does Mostert stay at RB1? Oh, no. Oh, no. He won't. Nope. No. TJ Hawkinson at tight end 1. I mean, we knew he'd be up there. Sam Laporta and Hunter Henry. So, definitely liked Sam Laporta. Sorry, Sam Litporta, as we call him around here. Didn't have him inside the top 12 because rookie tight ends just are not it. But also on top of that, I was expecting Jahmyr Gibbs to do a whole lot better than what he has done so far. I wasn't expecting the moon out of Gibbs. I had him as like a low-end RB2. But his work in the passing game just has not... It's not been it. So that has helped Sam Litporta put together some pretty decent weeks so far. Sam Litporta is probably going to be a top 5 option for me, but also in the same breath, how in the world are they using Sam Litporta this way and they didn't use TJ Hawkinson this way? That's crazy. That's crazy. Hunter Henry at tight end 3 didn't have a good week in week 3, but I adamantly bang the drum on Hunter Henry. I will absolutely, if he keeps putting up this performance, I'm not going to stop talking about it anytime soon. Travis Kelce at number 4, even after missing week 1. Evan Ingram at week 5. I wasn't super high on Evan Ingram coming into this season, but they continue to utilize him. That's a miss there for me. Donald Parham. Nobody saw that coming. He's basically all touchdowns, though. George Kittle, bounce back week in week 3, which was good to see. Darren Waller, 1 decent performance. That's it. Pat Freiermuth has been touchdown dependent. Mark Andrews, Jake Ferguson, Luke Musgrave. Not really any huge misses at the tight end position because everybody basically sucks right now. So that right there is like a huge, like that right there is like just a huge overview of what fantasy points look like right now. It is. All right, let's go ahead and answer some of your questions now. I went through all of it. One other thing I'll say is that you've got to set expectations beforehand. We had somebody yesterday that was super upset because they started James Cook over Jerome Ford. I was like, James Cook put up over 100 total yards for you still. Jerome Ford averaged under 2 yards per carry, but he got lucky with a couple of touchdowns. So are you upset that you didn't have Jerome Ford in your lineup? Absolutely. But what did Jerome Ford end up scoring compared to him anyway? Let me look real quick. Jerome Ford scored, they gave him 18 fantasy points. James Cook scored 12. So he scored 6 less fantasy points. Don't just look at the fantasy number. Go look at the box score. Go try to catch some highlights of the game if you don't watch the game. Things like that. There was people upset that DJ Moore didn't play better yesterday. And it's like, I get you want more out of DJ Moore from an overall perspective. We all do. But we had DJ Moore as a low-end wide receiver 2 this week. And DJ Moore ended up finishing as of right now, wide receiver 27. He scored you 12 fantasy points. Okay, so if you take a look at it, like when you see those things, it's like, and then someone was like, well, yeah, but he got a last minute touchdown. But who cares if he got that touchdown with 12 minutes left in the first quarter, or he got that touchdown with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter? Does that matter when he scores it, as long as he scores it, right? Now, obviously, the reason that DJ Moore was still a start for us this week is because they were playing Kansas City, probably going to be down, having to throw the football. Now, again, DJ Moore from an overall perspective, not even that good this season so far. Okay, but yesterday, not bad. Abraham, appreciate you. Do you think Alvin Kamara will put up RB1 numbers now? I definitely think Alvin Kamara will, because I think we had him ranked as like a mid-end RB2 when he came back, if I'm remembering correctly. So in that instance, I think he's right in that area. Kendre Miller's still going to get some work, but I don't know if he'll get as much as Kamara. They probably try to do like a 50-50 split to start. You're still going to see Tony Jones probably for the next couple of weeks. Jamal Williams will be back. But I would assume that we're going to see more Alvin Kamara than the other guys within the next, 3 weeks. Are we worried about Hunter? Are we worried about Henry? Are we talking about Derrick Henry? I'm assuming yes. Are we worried about Derrick Henry? I wouldn't say that I'm worried about it. I know after this past week, probably more than not, everyone is super worried. But he's still right now, he's still the RB16 right now. He hasn't had a huge performance, but he only had 2 points this past week. But even in my videos this past week, I said he's banged up and he's playing a Cleveland defense that's for real. Like, they're very, very good. So we kind of talked about that. Now, matchups that we have upcoming for Derrick Henry. Let me double check that real quick. That's NHL, not NFL. It's not what I want. So week 4, Tennessee has Cincinnati, so that will be a little bit of a better matchup there. Week 5, Tennessee has Indianapolis. Still going to be a little bit of a tougher matchup. Week 6, Tennessee has Baltimore. So really, Tennessee's schedule to begin the season is tough. But then they're going to run into like Atlanta, Pittsburgh, they'll be able to run a little bit easier on. Tampa Bay, they'll be able to run a little bit easier on. Jacksonville, Carolina, Houston. So when we get towards the end of the season, Tennessee plays Houston twice during the final 3 weeks of the season in the fantasy playoffs. I love that Anna timed out TJ just to time him out. And it's okay because TJ deserves it. TJ always deserves it. So am I getting rid of Derrick Henry right now? No. But you probably could trade for him pretty cheap. And I'd be willing to do that. Do we still hold on the Bears' offensive pieces? Roschon Johnson, I believe we need to continue to hold for right now. I talk about him in today's video. Just because with the way the running backs look like right now, we want to hold on to pieces that could potentially help us. DJ Moore, we're not dropping DJ Moore. We're not dropping DJ Moore. You are holding DJ Moore for right now. Okay? And we'll see what happens over the coming weeks. Are we as confident in starting him? No. Are we looking for better high upside options over him? Yes. But you can't drop him. Because you probably invested, I would believe, a 5th round pick in him. Too early to drop him right now. And then Justin Fields. I'm not dropping Justin Fields, but I am finding other options. Normally, I'm not a proponent of hold 2 quarterbacks. I don't like that. But with that being said, also you invested too high of a pick of Justin Fields to just throw him to waivers right now. So I would hold Justin Fields, put him on your bench, and hopefully they let him loose. Dan Orlovsky did a video yesterday where he actually even talked about the Bears offense, and even he was like, I don't understand what they're doing right now. It doesn't make any sense. Should I be worried about Ramondre Stevenson? I'm not worried about Ramondre Stevenson quite yet. I'm not. He's still getting a bulk of the workload. These first 3 weeks, performance-wise, just the overall terms of like how the game has went really hasn't been in his best interest. New York is still pretty darn good. Defensive-wise, I mean, over the first 2 weeks of the season, he was RB15. He had back-to-back double-digit point performances. This past week, obviously, wasn't as good as we would have liked, for sure. In terms of what will they look like moving forward, we get Dallas this week, which is definitely not going to be the best. New Orleans is probably going to be a little bit more tougher as well. But then we've got like Las Vegas, Buffalo, a little bit tougher, but you can run on Buffalo. You got Miami, you got Washington, Indianapolis will be a little bit more tough, but then you got the New York Giants. So I'm not giving up on Ramondre Stevenson, and he's still providing RB2 numbers right now, which in the grand scheme of things still is not, like, awful. We would like to get him more up into the RB1 numbers, and that can still happen. I mean, we tried to tell you all about Breece Hall. I mean, after week 1, listen, I'm going to be honest. Like, this I will push back on a little bit. After week 1, in my running back videos, I talked about how Breece Hall had 2 big runs. And if you take away those 2 big runs, the dude averaged less than 3 yards a carry. That's worrisome. Like, if you would have taken away the 2 big runs and he averaged 4 yards a carry, okay, we would like to see him a little bit more explosive, but he's coming off a knee injury. Of course, he's not going to be as explosive. And I got absolutely hit with the old argument, if you take away a player's best plays, he sucks. That's not what it was about. But look what the dude has done since then, right? I told you all he was going to be big play dependent. He's got some upside, but he's going to struggle at other times as well. Okay? And it's not entirely Kentucky, it's not entirely Breece Hall, that's correct. But we still need to set expectations for a guy coming back from ACL injuries. Adrian Peterson about sets an NFL record for rushing yards coming back from an ACL, and everybody compares every ACL tear to that guy. That's not how it is. The O-line is an issue. The quarterback is an issue. Absolutely. He's still splitting touches with Dalvin Cook. Absolutely. He's still not doing a whole lot with the touches that he's given. Okay? So, are we getting rid of Breece Hall? No, we're not getting rid of Breece Hall, but we are tempering expectations and understanding that he's going to have some good weeks, but he's also going to have some bad weeks, especially until they figure out what's going on at quarterback. I expect them to figure it out soon. Okay? Exactly. I just said it. Have patience. Have patience. We are not moving on from Breece Hall right now. We're not. Okay? Should you trade Sam Laporta? I'm weak at that position and stacked at running backs. Oh, should you trade for Sam Laporta? It really depends on what you're trading for him, to be honest. Are we worried about Josh Jacobs? I am a little worried about Josh Jacobs because if he was going to go off last night, should have been the situation in which he went off because Pittsburgh defense against the run has not been great and it didn't happen. Now, let's take a quick peeky peek here and see what we've got coming up for Las Vegas. We've got the Chargers, Green Bay, New England. Then we've got Chicago and Detroit, the New York Giants. So we've got a stretch of games coming up where Josh Jacobs absolutely has an opportunity. I'm holding Josh Jacobs. I'm also going to trade for him as well because there's no other running back in the league right now outside of, I believe, Christian McCaffrey and maybe one other. I think Barkley was the other one. Those are the only two that in terms of touches are getting more than Josh Jacobs. Should we sell high on Raheem Mostert? Absolutely. If you can sell high right now, now is the time to do it. His value isn't going to be any higher than it is right now, but it's also going to depend on what you're getting back for him, okay? So, am I trading him for another guy of his stature? Probably not. I'm going to be honest. I'm actively trying to fleece one of my league mates. Like, if you were to offer Raheem Mostert for a Josh Jacobs or a Ramondre Stevenson or a Derrick Henry, I'm taking all three of those guys over Mostert the rest of the season. Is a chain the starter? Trying to figure out Mostert and a chain for the rest of the season is going to be a headache, and I'm putting that in the best, easiest term possible. Y'all are going to hate trying to figure that out. I promise you that. Because is a chain going to be the starter? Yeah. Is Mostert still going to get touches? Yep. We saw it yesterday. I also don't expect that A-Chain is going to play the same way he did yesterday every single week. That's just not going to happen, right? We know that there's going to be a downfall. Now, if I were to want to own somebody in that backfield, right now, it would probably be a chain. But I think both him and Mostert hold the same type of injury profile. and both have kind of the same type of possibility when it comes to going down with an injury. They're both kind of in the same stature, right? They're not big workhorse running backs. They're smaller speed guys. They're not built to take on 250 carries a season. So they're going to continue to split that backfield and work both of those guys in. Tony, what about Zach Moss? Okay, let's talk about Zach Moss for a second. I brought this up in Discord last night. Zach Moss, my question to you is, do you think Zach Moss is going to get 30 carries every single week? Because if your answer is no, then Zach Moss is a sell-high candidate. Because Zach Moss in his career has never been super efficient. In fact, yesterday he only averaged 4.1 yards per carry, which some people are going to be like, oh, that's good. No, that's average. That's okay. NFL running backs that are putting up big games for you are averaging well towards high 4s and low 5s, not 4.1 yards per carry. Anthony Richardson didn't play yesterday. When Anthony Richardson plays, he's going to get carries. Gardner Minshew does not. That's going to take away from Zach Moss. Will it take away enough to say Zach Moss isn't startable? No. But unless Zach Moss shows higher upside, it takes away enough that Zach Moss is a guy that we talk about, do we need to start him every week? Instead of you have to start him every single week. Jonathan Taylor. They've actively been trying to trade him. Are they going to come down on their asking price? Who knows? I guarantee you that coaching staff would much rather have Jonathan Taylor at running back than Zach Moss, though. From a explosive standpoint, from a making the team better standpoint, but I don't know if they're going to welcome him back with open arms. I don't know that, but that's still in flux. He's only on IR technically for one more week, and then he can return. Madison's performance, it was good to see him get a little bit better, but I don't think they traded for Cam Akers to continue to give Alexander Madison the amount of touches that he has had. Is it time to panic on Ridley? No, it's not. I wouldn't say it's time to panic on Ridley. The offense as a whole has just not looked in sync the first couple of weeks of the season. I mean, they looked good week 1. It's just, there's something seems off. But again, it's kind of that early season rust type of things. I expect them to get a lot better, and I expect them to play a lot better. And Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk are going to be in the center of that. Christian Kirk, decent performance yesterday. Not as great as we would have liked. Scored a touchdown, had a few yards. Took a little bit for it to happen, but finally happened. Jared, you're the man. Carlos, yeah, fantasy doesn't look good right now. I know, Carlos. Like, trust me, I understand the frustrations in playing fantasy football and not seeing your team get off to a great start. But it is only week 3. We are not going to just cave our season because it hasn't started the way we would like. If you missed the start of the stream, I went over tons of numbers as to why the season is looking so weird right now. Okay. Hunter, if you're 0-3, you can still make the playoffs. If you're 0-3, absolutely you can still make the playoffs. There's tons of people in the chat that have been like, yeah, I just said it. He started 0-3. He started 0-3, right? And he made the playoffs last year. There's people who have said they've started 0-5 and they made the playoffs and things like that. So if you're 0-3, you still have opportunity. If we finish 0-6, at that point, your season's like, probably done at that point, unless something happens, right? I'll be honest with you right now. Probably the teams that are doing the best in your league right now are the teams that made moves on the guys off of waiver wire. If I had to guess, people that have picked up like Puka, Kyron Williams, Raheem Mostert. Who else? I'm looking at the wrong sheet. People who drafted quarterbacks late. People who got really good draft value on Mike Evans and Keenan Allen. Like, those are probably the teams that are the best right now, who have worked the waiver wire and got really good value late in their drafts. Those are the people winning right now. Josh Kelly, we're probably going to be done starting Josh Kelly, and you'll see that this week. I talked about it in the waiver wire video too. Little Tasty is going up against people scoring more points than him. That's another thing too, right? Could be a little bit luck right now. Two 2-0, patiently waiting on Ridley and Chase to break out. That's going to come. Chase is going to be fine. Bench Justin Fields from here on out. Personally, I am. Until I see it get better, I would pick somebody off of waivers and just leave Justin Fields on the bench for right now. Palmer or Johnston the rest of the season. I actually talk about that in today's waiver wire video, so I'm going to save it for that so you guys watch it. Anyone else specifically you want me to talk about? We are 56 minutes in. I just want to reiterate one more thing as well. The speech at the beginning of the video, again, was not me. We have even had people like that angry this week. There's been a few things where it's like, I just want to address why we shouldn't do this. Okay? Again, no one's yelling at me for not telling him to start a chain because nobody was starting a chain this week. If you started a chain, it was because you were in dire need and you had nobody else. Nobody out there in the community, content creators, analysts, was telling anybody to start a chain this week. Okay? It wasn't happening. Nobody even asked me if they should start a chain. The question didn't even come up this weekend for me. And I did the live show myself on Saturday and Sunday, and I answered all the questions. I didn't see a chain's name one time. Not once. That's crazy. But again, like the speech at the beginning isn't like, I'm not blaming all of you. The people who said that I was blaming you and chastising you is ridiculous, because I even said beforehand, I'm not doing that. I am trying to help you all. I am trying to encourage you all to look at fantasy a little bit of a different way, okay? To stay confident in what you are doing and to utilize the information that we are giving you. I'm not yelling at you because you're upset or anything like that. That's not happening, okay? The only time we do that is if you're rude. I'm trying to help you. Zero running back was not the perfect draft strategy. No, it was not. That is a lie, and it is false. 100% false. Okay? The perfect draft strategy this year was either taking Christian McCaffrey at the beginning of your draft or getting a guy like Kenneth Walker or Bijan Robinson at the beginning of your draft, or getting a guy like Kenneth Walker and Travis Etienne in the 3rd, 4th round area. Saying the zero running back strategy was perfect this year is absolutely false. Because the zero running back strategy is waiting until like the 6th or 7th round to draft a running back. The only people that went zero running back that are winning right now would be somebody that drafted Brian Robinson late, Raheem Mostert super late, and then maybe James Cook a little bit later or DeAndre Swift. Those are the only people. Nobody is doing that. Nobody is doing that. Kyron Williams is the number 2 running back. He would have been picked up off waivers. Raheem Mostert's the number 5 running back. He would have been drafted super late. Oh, wait, hold on a second. I got to switch to week 3, too, before I keep going. James Conner, yeah, he would have been drafted super late. But you've got Christian McCaffrey, who is a first-round pick. Kenneth Walker, who is a 3rd or 4th-round pick. Tony Pollard, who was a first-round pick. You've got Bijan Robinson, who was a first-round pick. Travis Etienne, who would have been like a 3rd or a 4th-round pick. Saquon Barkley is 15 only because he missed this week. He would have been a first-round pick. Derrick Henry would have been a first-round pick. He's at 16. He would have been a top 12 if it hadn't been for 2 points this week. So I'm sorry. That's just, it's false. It's false. Yeah, Shaquille. So you drafted Hill and Adams. You went wide receiver early, but you still got guys like Ramondre and Aaron Jones. That's not a 0 running back strategy. 0 running back, and I think that's one thing that people misinterpret about that strategy. 0 running back is when you draft all of your other positions first. 0 running back is when you go quarterback, at least 2 wide receivers, maybe 3, and at least 1 tight end. You're drafting 4 or 5 guys before you draft a running back. You're not drafting a running back until the 6th round in a 0 running back strategy. If you drafted a running back in the 4th round, that is not 0 running back strategy. Yes, running back 6th, 7th, 8th round is where you're drafting them. And once again, if you're running with Raheem Mostert and Zach Moss is your RB1 and 2 and you're 3-0 right now, are you really loving your team? Like, are you confident? Tell me if you're confident with those guys. If your RB1, 2, and 3 are guys like Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, maybe James Conner, Zach Moss, Jerome Ford. Like, are you really feeling confident? Like, tell me. Tell me if you're feeling real good about your running backs right now. Oh, man. All right. Okay, I've been live for an hour. That's about as long as I'm going to make this show because I want people to come to it and watch it and not see like a 2-hour live stream. So exactly, you're 2-1, 3-0, but do you feel confident in your team right now? Like, do you think that you're honestly going to win a championship with those running backs? Me personally, no. If I had those, I would be like, I got to figure something out here. Like, I've got to get a guy that I can trust more than the guys I have right now. It's great to start the season for sure and be excited that you're 2-1 and 3-0, but you got to get better, right? You got to look to make your roster better. That's the biggest thing. All right, I need to get out of here. I need to go. Waiver wire video's almost done. I got to go start on running back, start and sit for tomorrow. I got to go all of that. I got to get out of here, though. So I think pretty decent show today. If you misinterpreted my beginning kind of speech to you all about, hey, this is what we need to get better with, it wasn't like that for the couple of people who flipped their underwear over it. Just come on. It's all right. It's all right. Get over it. Just wanted to go through a bunch of information with you all. That's what we did. I think we're on the right track. Let's stay positive. Okay, let's stay positive. Believe in the information. Believe in yourself to make the right decisions. Believe in the team that you drafted. Work the waiver wires. Make some trades if you need to. We're going to do a trade video this week, so you will get some buy low, sell high type options for us. But for right now, I'm going to get going. Peace out, everybody. Stay safe. Stay healthy. I'll see you all in the next show.
On the line, you can't fold and you can't bend. Y'all be playing it safe and I be going for the win. Remember back when they was doubting on the kid. Now they tuned in cause my game